we were in Ecuador. You had developed some sort of respiratory issue to the point where like we had exhausted our resources and ended up taking you to the doctor.
Yep.
Yeah, and not a place that you even really like to be.
I do not go to the doctor unless it's an emergency.
Right, and so you got a shot. We still don't know what was in that shot, but we're going to talk through that and kind of hash out what you do when you're sick, I guess, overseas. The first time you actually got sick, we were visiting the Basilica.
Yeah.
And we lovingly...
But that was
lovingly,
a totally separate sickness.
it was a separate sickness. I'll just spare the details.
You can,
it's okay. We lovingly call it the Basilica Blowout.
And that's as far as it needs to go.
Yes.
I wasn't
suffice
the
it
only
to say
one
that it cost money every time you had to go to the bathroom to get the toilet paper. So
you had to pay for the toilet paper and the entry into the bathroom every time.
I just slipped a lady $20 and say, thank you. Can I have a roll? I
didn't have to do that, but I preserved my little bit of toilet paper as long as I could.
Yes. But that is important, because while we went to the Basilica with a group of people, our friends from Inslee Recycling, and I was leaving to go with them to Manta to see another ministry, and you were supposed to go, I think, but you ended up not being able. Oh no, you were never supposed to go.
I stayed with the kids. Yeah,
you were going to stay with the kids, but you were sick. Thank God that there was another family at Casa Blanca, the Overmoyers, and so they cared for you that weekend while I was away. One of the guys that we were with, his wife had tested positive for COVID back in the United States. We had met them at the retreat, so this was all within like a week's time. Everyone has to get tested for COVID. He gets tested, I get tested, you get tested. You're negative, like we knew like what you had wasn't COVID. But then you were developing a cough and like having all these issues, and so we finally just decided that you needed to go see the doctor. And so Paul, our friend, Paul Overmoyer, brought us to the doctor. He graciously told me what the word for cough is in Spanish, which is tos. And that's basically the only medical term I knew.
Learning another language is hard in and of itself. Then there's like little pockets of language, and the medical side of things is something that neither of us had any.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything.
So I came in armed with tos and no COVID. Like those are the two things that I knew. So like the doctor shows up and he has a mask on and a shield.
Plastic
shield over his face. Which really makes it difficult to understand someone. And I try to understand what he says, and then I try to translate it to Jessica. I am not a translator.
And I'm just sitting there coughing.
Yeah. And so I just kept saying, tos in no COVID, like, because I didn't want him to think that she had COVID.
And I don't get sick very often. So the fact that I'm sick and the fact that I'm at the doctor is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Because anyway.
Yeah, so finally we work out something with the doctor. He kind of writes down like some things that I can go get at the pharmacy.
We basically came down to it sounded like from what we interpreted back and forth is it was just basically a sinus infection.
Yes.
It's kind of where we landed.
But he did say that he wanted to give you a shot, and we're like, I was at the point where like we had to get something figured out.
We were pretty desperate at that point for me to be well, just for the sake of carrying on with the rest of our trip.
So then I had to say no penicillin, which I hoped was Spanish.
Yeah, I'm allergic to penicillin. So that's another thing of like, whoa, how do we make sure that they don't give me something that is going to harm me more?
Right. So you get your shot. We paid $35 for the entire visit.
I think it was $25.
Maybe it was $25.
The shot was $8.
Yeah,
I remember
it was
that.
Super cheap.
They took our card.
Yeah, they took our card.
It was not a big deal.
To me, like when I think about that, that was our first time with the Overmoyer family, and who we ended up actually seeing again that year in Peru, and then saw the following year in Colombia. they're old enough to be our parents, right? So they kind of have grandparent status for our children. And that weekend,
and they're just generous, yeah.
yeah, and that
They
weekend,
just
like
cared
when you
very
were
well.
sick, they cared for you,
Yeah,
right?
but Miss Lynette made me
This is
Agua Panela, which is basically
sugar water.
sugar water. But panela is like kind of like a dark molasses water. It's a hard sugar. It's kind of I'm doing this because it's sold like in a block, and you just kind of break a block of it off, and you melt it with the in the water, and you can add ginger and lemon and turmeric. But she made me that every
It's whatever
night.
was around the kitchen, basically.
It's whatever she had. She made it for me every night, and it was so soothing on the
Medicinal
throat.
in Colombia.
And it's a medicinal and medicinal in Latin America, I think.
Yeah.
But I grew to just love it so much, and she just cared for me and cared for my kids while I was just laying on the couch.
Is that the weekend too that she did arroz con pollo?
I think it was.
What are you making?
Chicken and rice.
With
So
our
they,
children?
Paul and Leth both taught our kids how to make Colombian style arroz con pollo.
Yes, because every country's chicken and rice is better than every other country in Latin America.
But they made it
The
Colombian
way
style,
it
and
is.
our kids did it all. It was like a several-hour process of like getting it all put together. And
They still talk about that.
yeah, they do. We had a lot of fun with that. So, yeah, it was. We were very well cared for,
Right.
despite.
Right, and I think that that's like it feels like that's kind of a theme in the journey is building relationships with people and then having them reciprocate kind of this care back so we can care for them. They care for us, like with the Overmoyer family. We eventually end up in Colombia and get to be at their apartment and get to film their story and all of that kind of stuff. But that was kind of like the starting point for that relationship.
No small act goes unnoticed when it comes to living with people and living in generosity and living as a family, living as a community. When you're outside of your element, outside of your culture, it's uncomfortable at times, and being able to offer a way to care for you in a generous way. And even if it's just making agua panela, which is something that Miss Lynette would have made for anybody at any time. It wasn't something extra special or this grandiose thing that she went and found. Like, it was just something that she was like, oh, well, this is what my mom did, my grandma did. Like, this is just what we do to care for people. And those little small acts are very meaningful.
Yeah, they are very meaningful, and it's interesting to me because I think, like, we went to Ecuador and Costa Rica and all the other places we've been to help share other people's stories, and then our life is still happening. Like, there's still stories that are happening within us, and we're leaving now. We leave Ecuador with this wealth of story and our own things that have shaped our lives and things that, like, we take still into consideration in our own family. And it's just incredible, like, what a journey that the Lord has brought us on. And I'm thankful to have done it with you and continuing to do it with you and our children. And such an amazing thing. So next time we're going to be talking, kind of going like a little bit further back than Ecuador, and we're going to actually talk about our story as to like why we even do this thing. Like, what were the steps? Like, what takes a family to say yes and pack up their things and move? I'm excited to kind of hash that out because there's a lot there to uncover and talk about.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time.